Hey, piecewise functions. A piecewise function is a function that has different rules for different parts of its domain. A function that has different rules for different parts of its domain. So here's an example of a piecewise function. F of x, where it's 8x from 0 up to 40, and then it's 2x minus 5 from 40 from 40 on after that. So the graph changes. Okay? So we'll look at these. Okay? So you'll hopefully understand this before we're done. But that's what a piecewise function is, that it has different rules for different parts of the domain. Here's a step function. A step function is a function that pairs every input in an interval with the same output value. So step function looks like that. It's like stair steps going down or stair steps going up. Okay? So between -1 and 0, the value is 0. Between -1 and 1, the value is, or between 0 and 1, the value is -1. Between 1 and 2, the value is -2. Between 2 and 3, the value is -3, and so on. Okay? And this is a real life what happens because you're charged this amount if you're between this and this amount if you're between this and this, and so on. So there are some real life examples to it. All right, so we got that. Here we go. Elena has a summer job as a lifeguard. She makes $8 an hour for 40 hours a week. If she works more than 40 hours, she was working overtime. At overtime, you make 1.5 times your hourly pay, or $12 an hour for each hour over 40. How could you make a graph and write a function that shows Elena's weekly hours? Okay? So if we go pay depending on the hours, for up to 40 hours, so if she works from 0 to 40 hours, she makes 8 times however many hours she works, 8x. Okay? And she makes 12x, okay, minus whatever hours times x when x is greater than 40. Okay, so when you work, so the 41st hour, she doesn't get paid 12 times 41. She just gets paid 12, right? So we have to figure this out. So she gets paid 12 times x minus 40. So on the 41st hour, it's like the first hour of overtime. The 42nd hour is like the second hour of overtime, and so on. Okay? Plus, if she works 40 hours, how much does she make? 40 hours times 8 is $320. Oops. Come back here. $320. So if we distribute here, we get 12x minus 480 plus 320, or 12x minus 160. So the 160 goes right there. So for 1 hour, if she works 1 hour in a week, she'll only get paid $8. If she works 20 hours, she'll get paid $160. If she works 40 hours, she gets paid $320. If she works 41, then this is $320, and then the 41st hour, if you put 41 in here, 12 times 41 is 12 times 41 is 492, minus 160 is 332, which is, so if she works 41 hours, then you go to this part of the function. Okay, so if we would graph that, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and so if she works 10 hours, she gets paid like $80. 20 hours, she'd get paid like 160. 30 hours, she'd get paid 240. 40 hours, she'd get paid 320. So the graph goes like this, and that's a slope of 8. And then what's going to happen, it's going to slope up after that, because then she'll start making more, okay, for overtime. That's a piecewise function. So it says, how much will she make if she works 37 hours? If she works 37 hours, which one do you use, the top or the bottom? Top. So you just take 8 times 37. 8 times 37 is 296. If she works 43 hours, which one do you use? The bottom. So you have to take 12 times 43 minus 160. So it's like 356. Okay. And there we go. Okay, it says graph this piecewise function. Okay. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 82, -4, -6, -8, -10, -12, -14. So if we start with -10 here, what's -40 plus 11? -29. So it's way down there somewhere. -8, let's put in there then. That's negative 32 plus 11, which is negative 21. If we go negative 6, we're at negative 24 plus 11 is negative 13, right? Negative 4 gives us negative 16 plus 11 is negative 5. Negative 2, and this will be an open circle, gives us a positive 3. So negative 2 gives us a positive 3. That's an open circle. Negative 4 gives us negative 5. Oops. Negative 2. I went to negative 1. Negative 2, open circle at 3. Negative 4 gives us a negative 5. Negative 6 gives us a negative 13. So it kind of goes down like this. And it'll stop at negative 10. All right. And then at negative 2, what's negative 2 squared? 4 minus 1 is 3. So negative 2, 3. These match up, don't they? So a filled-in circle covers up the open circle. Okay. If we put in a negative 1 squared is 1 minus 1 is 0. So negative 1, 0. Put in a 0, we get negative 1, 1, 0, 2, 3. So it's a parabola that looks like this. And then at 2, 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4, 5, 6. Goes like that. So that's our function. That's the way it basically looks. Okay, because we got 3 things going on. Okay, so the domain. What's the domain? Well, it starts with this number, ends with this number. So it goes from negative 10, or let's use interval notation, I guess. Domain is from negative 10 up to 10. What's my range? Well, the lowest number I'm going to have is 29. If you stick a 10 into here, the highest number I'm going to have is 11. Domain range. Increasing. It's going up until we hit this number right here. So it's going up until we hit negative 2. So it's increasing from negative 10 up to negative 2. Then it's decreasing from negative 2 till this is the lowest point that it's decreasing, so to 0. And then it's increasing again from 0 all the way out to this number, 0 to 10. Increasing, decreasing. Okay? You can look at the graph to help figure it out. Okay? Looking at this piecewise function. Okay, so let's do this one in red. From negative 4 to negative 1, it's 3. This is the y value. Where's the y value of 3? 3 up. Okay, so if we go with negative 4, 3, and this would be an open circle here, and it'd be a horizontal line till negative 1. And then at 0, we stick the 0 in and we get 0. So let's do this one in green. At 0, we're going to get 0. At 1, we're going to get negative 1. At 2, we're going to get negative 2. Okay? And then we'll pick out a different color. We'll go blue for this one. 3 minus 2 is 1. So at 2, we're going to be at 1. Oh, open circle there. At 3, we're going to be at 0. At 4, we're going to be at -1. So that's the graph of that piecewise function. Its domain would be from -4 up to 4. There's open circles at each end. Okay. The range, since we have a filled-in circle here at -2, it includes -2. And then we have a filled-in circle here up at 3. So we have a 3, but we skip over a spot. So we're solid until 1, which is an open circle. And then we're 3. Or I guess solid at 3 to 3. Not -3, 3. Okay? So let's do the rules for this piecewise function, f of x. Okay? The blue goes from a y value of -2 to a y, or an x value of -2 to an x value of a +1. So it goes from -2, filled-in circle, to 1 as an open circle. And it has a y-intercept of -4 and a slope, it goes up 1, 2, 3 over 1, a slope of 3. So it's like 3x minus 4 would be that function. This one, the red one, goes from 1 to 5, and its slope is 1, so it would be just x plus, I guess we got to figure out the equation for that. The slope is 8 minus 4 over 5 minus 1, which is 4 over 4, which is 1. And then I got to find its equation. So y minus y1, 4, because I'm using this, equals 1 times x minus 1. So y minus 4 equals x minus 1, y equals x plus 3. So x plus 3 is the red one. Then we got the green one here. The green one is at 8, and that is an open circle at 5 and a filled-in circle at 8. And that's how you write a piecewise function for that. Okay? Should we skip over this one and just be done?
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good. So, today we'll have interval notation and piecewise function.